Welcome to the Reimagine podcast. Each week, give yourself 30 minutes and meet the people working hard to create the future of insurance today.
Hi, this is Paul Tyler. We recently attended the first Medicarian conference in Las Vegas. Jay Weintraub took the top Medicare Supplement conference and broadened it to include innovation across the entire senior healthcare space. We interviewed a number of leaders on the event floor and pulled the recordings into 3 podcasts. Today, in part 1 of 3, we explore innovation and distribution. People want people to help them navigate this complex topic. However, the tools, the processes, and the outcomes are changing quickly.
Thank you. And who are you and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Gaurav Suri. I'm president and co-founder of Health IQ.
Thank you so much for coming here today. And Gaurav, I missed your talk. Unfortunately, we were busy trying to talk to a lot of people about Medicare Supplement insurance today. But tell us what you shared with the audience here.
Yeah, it's really all about how consumers can be empowered to access their health information, to take control of it, and to really use it to make better healthcare choices. And that core information, of course, is the prescriptions they're on, the doctors they see, the diagnoses they've had, the treatments they've received. And the vast majority of that today is really a recollection that the consumer is asked by the agent when they call in. And if they forget something or the agent doesn't capture it properly, they don't get the treatment and the plan they need. Instead, they get put into the plan that Joe Namath recommends with all the extra benefits or the money back in your Social Security check, because that's easy.
Right.
Actually predicting your treatments and understanding what they'll cost, that's hard. And so we're trying to do the hard stuff instead of the easy stuff. Yeah, so we sell all the major plans, all the major Medicare Advantage plans, thousands of plans, but that's the challenge, right? In any given market, there's over 40 plans on average and, 5,000 plus nationally. And how do you make sense of all of these plans to select what's best for the consumer? So the agents are all employees of Health IQ, so this is a tool at their disposal, or the end policyholder can use it to sign up on our website, directly, or we'll be able to do that shortly. So the same AI that powers the recommendation for the agent can be used by the consumer also. But when the agent is talking to the consumer, they look at the recommendations from the AI and share them. Because you've got diabetes, your metformin has X cost here, or because your diabetes is going to progress, you'll need insulin, and there's a plan with an insulin cap, or your endocrinologist copays. So it's all about what the consumer has been diagnosed with, what they're being treated with, and then arming them with what that would look like under various plans, and therefore the lowest cost plan for them, or the best healthcare outcomes for them in terms of quality of care. How they use that information, whether they use that in connection with the agent making the recommendations or just want to use that by themselves, that's up to them. I think most people still want to talk to an agent, but they want an informed agent, not just an agent who's going to push something because it's easy or it's a shiny new object that appeals to everyone.
So what can carriers do better to make it easier and more efficient for your team to meet those needs?
Well, first and foremost, the carriers are still a source of the information, and by the time you get it from CMS, it's a little late. So simple things like provider lists, keeping them up to date, making them accessible, having APIs, right?
Right.
API is not a term you hear thrown around a lot of carriers. And so, giving us access to that information, and then allowing us to guide consumers in a way that's useful for them. I think they want to, they just don't know how. And I don't mean that as a generalization, but oftentimes some carriers don't exactly know how.
Right. It's a real changing landscape. The last question for you, what excites you most about the Medicare market over the next 12 to 18 months?
It's a market that continues to grow, continues to go through tremendous transformation. I think the MedSup market, certainly with MACRA, has seen some rockier times. MA continues to grow, but it is becoming broader in terms of the kinds of MA plans that are available to consumers, PPOs, and extra dental benefits. But that explosion of choice is making it harder. So marrying more choice with the right choice for you, that's the exciting part.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Pleasure to catch up, and we'll look forward to seeing you the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Tell me, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Mike Alexander. I'm one of the principals of ABM Insurance and Benefit Services, and my specialty, of course, is the Medicare, long-term care, life insurance. That's what I do in the agency. Okay.
Oh, okay, and you have a secret superhero identity as known as...
Yes, known as the Medicare Whisperer. That's how everybody knows me. Actually, it's funny how that started. I did a radio show for Medicare, and we were on the show one day, and there were a couple of calls, and I answered the questions about some complications they had with Medicare. And so the host of the radio show, he said, I don't have a dog, but he says, I do have Medicare, so you're the Medicare Whisperer. And it stuck. That stuck. So I've used it, and it's actually a great brand. It really identifies you.
Oh, it absolutely
really
is.
does.
Now, I see you on YouTube. I've seen you on LinkedIn. I've seen you, so, I mean, you were there before there was there, I think, in this business.
Yeah, I've been doing it 35 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, I guess first off, how's technology changing how you build relationships with clients in this arena? How is it not today?
Well, it's helping, and it helps you stay in touch. It helps you touch your customers more often, which is very important, okay? To answer your question where it's not is I still think you need the personal. You need to have that personal face-to-face touch with them, if you're going to keep them.
Yes.
Because, Joe Namath's on TV every day, so you have to do something different than Joe Namath.
Right.
You have to stand out from that. I always tell people, well, when you call that number, you're not going to get Joe. When you call my number, you're going to get Mike. You're going to get the Medicare Whisperer.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So you shared with me some just great pictures of some seminars. Tell people what they are. I'm looking at Elvis. I'm looking at Reba McEntire. Let's see. Yeah.
Patsy Cline, yep. That really worked out well. I had a friend that told me about this Elvis impersonator. I mean, it must have been 20 years ago, and he lived in a little town called Cut and Shoot, Texas. And so, I've tried. I was going to do a seminar, and I was trying to find a way to drum up attendance, because at that time, years ago, the carriers were doing the product seminars, and, attendance just kept going down, because just repeat stuff. So we come up with these educational seminars about Medicare, and what a better way to draw than bring in a celebrity star, an impersonator, and it has been extremely successful. Our best one, as far as attendance, we did it about 8 years ago, was in Lufkin, Texas, and we had 238 people.
Wow.
Come to the seminar at the Lufkin Civic Center.
Okay.
And they came to see Elvis, But, I got a lot of business out of it. It was an expensive proposition because the guy was really good. He was probably the best Elvis impersonator I've ever seen, And he introduced me to a girl. She does three. She does Marilyn Monroe. As you can tell by the picture, she looks exactly like Marilyn Monroe. You would not know the difference, She does Patsy Cline. She does Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I have another gentleman that I use. He's a little younger. He does Frank Sinatra. And sometimes I'll have Frank Sinatra and Patsy Cline together at the seminars. And people ask me, well, should you bring them on before you talk or after you talk? It really depends on the venue.
Yeah.
Because what people like to do is they like to stay afterwards and take pictures with the people. They just love that, And you know, it's real hard to find somebody that's personable to the seniors. So we went through a lot of them, and then we ended up, when somebody recommended the Elvis guy, he referred me to the lady, and he also referred me to a magician, a guy that works magic shows on cruise ships. And during the off season, because he runs on contracts, 6-month contracts, so 6 months he's at the cruise and 6 months he's in Houston. So we use him all over Texas. Actually, he's really good, great magician. Seniors absolutely love the guy.
Okay, so I got to ask you a question. So pictures, it used to be Polaroids, right? Now, I'm assuming they're all posting this stuff up on Facebook. Is that what
they
they're
do?
doing?
Seniors. What's really funny is I had a seminar with Elvis we did in Tomball, Texas, I believe it was, and the daughter was there, you know, with her mother. Her mother was 91, and so her daughter was 64. And so she's, oh my God, I had so much fun. She says, you gonna do this again? I said, oh, yes, ma'am. We'll do it more than once for sure. And she says, well, I've got a ton of friends to bring. And she did, too. The next one, she must have had 20 people there.
That's great. Now, you mentioned, so Joe Namath and Elvis. I mean, is that the secret formula to beating, you know, football player on television, you know, incessantly? If I'm an agent, I mean, what do you
know? People, seniors relate to Elvis. Yeah. Now the Patsy Cline, that's the, you know, I'd say 75 plus.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But everybody, I don't care if they're 650, 60, 40, you know, they all relate to Elvis.
Okay.
Everybody relates to Elvis. And Reba McEntire also, they all relate to her. So they're kind of ageless.
Yeah.
Patsy Cline, Frank Sinatra, that's for the older senior,
right.
75 plus senior. So if whatever venue you're at, that's kind of what we try to see who we're going to bring.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring both of them, you know.
Right.
We'll bring two of them.
Yeah.
You know. We did one I really liked. We did an Elvis Reba deal. Oh, that was super, super.
All right.
They were screaming, dancing. Had one guy, he walked in, he was on a cane, he's just barely walking, and then he got in the meeting and he took the cane and just threw it and just started dancing.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
He just started shaking and dancing. It was the funniest thing we've ever seen.
Oh, this is great. So what are you hoping to get out of the conference here? Great venue.
Oh, great venue, yeah. It's, you know, I've been here I come to them about 7 years in a row, and I always tell other agents they should come, because if you pick up one idea, just one, it's more than worth your trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every year I've come, I've always found something new that I could use, you know.
Oh, this is great. So
yeah.
Where's the best place for people to follow you, watch you, hear what you get advice from you?
Yeah, our website is www.getagreatquote.com.
Getagreatquote.com. That's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, of course, you can reach me through my email or phone number to 800-362-2809 is my office number.
Okay. All right. Mike, thanks for stopping by. I look forward to our panel discussion later today.
Me too. I look forward to it.
All right.
Should be a lot of fun.
It will.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, first, thanks for having me. So I'm Drew Aldrich. I'm the managing partner of Viewpoint Ventures. Viewpoint Ventures is a brand new venture capital fund that's focused on the future of insurance, sort of all major lines. And we're just north of $100 million today, and we're just really, really focused on the future, specifically of distribution of insurance is where we're particularly focused. Yeah.
Now, you had a big address here this morning. What was the big idea that you were conveying to the audience?
Yeah, so Viewpoint is sort of the culmination of close to a decade's worth of venture capital and insurance activity, and there's this. We see this tidal wave headed into the insurance industry around the tech enablement of classic distribution. So we're particularly interested in one, distribution is the most important thing. Distribution innovation trumps product innovation. Two, humans are going to remain a core component of the sale of insurance. And then the sort of tactical component of that is we're really excited about the ideas of what we call digital wholesalers and tech-enabled rainmakers. So digital wholesalers are the intermediaries that sit between the carriers and the producers. They create tech and tech-enabled service. They're creating value for that end producer because distribution is the most important thing, and those producers are the ones creating that value. And so it's all about providing value-added services to those producers aggregating all that production up, routing it to the carriers, and what we see, and we see this not just in the Medicare market, we're seeing this across literally every insurance market, US and globally, that these tech-enabled wholesalers are creating this value, pushing it down to the producers, aggregating a ton up, and we see the future's going to be fairly consolidated. This has really important implications for sort of all market participants, the carriers, existing agencies, and so our big message was, this big thing is happening, here's why it's happening, here's what it likely means for you. And so that was our talk.
Excellent. And listen, I've known you for a number of years, kind of watched your investments on the side. You've got a real knack for being a good 3, 4, 5 years ahead of everybody else. Okay.
Thank you.
So what excites you about the Medicare market, the senior healthcare market?
Well, Medicare's a fantastic market, right? I mean, we're looking at this from a distribution lens, and I'm looking at this from a venture capital lens. And so if you compare the Medicare Advantage markets to, call it, life insurance or annuity, in Medicare, you have a huge population that's aging into it every single year. Not only that, but the consumers often doesn't have to pay anything for the product that they are acquiring. So if I'm a producer and I'm choosing between selling, a high dollar life insurance policy or a Medicare policy, oh man, it is way easier to provide this incredibly high value, functionally for free to the consumer, to an increasing and massive market that ages in every single year. And that is the sort of core driver of why it's such an exciting market for us.
Okay, that's great. Now, if I'm a carrier wanting to put money into your fund, or I'm a startup looking to pitch, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My email is drew@viewpoint.vc. And we're, regardless of capital raising or not, we're always interested in meeting ecosystem participants, distribution, carriers, intermediaries of all kinds. We're building a sort of cohesive ecosystem, and we'd love to talk.
Awesome. All right. Hey, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Who are you, and what do you do?
Yeah, my name's Joe Jordan, and I've been in the business 46 years. I was a life agent, ran insurance sales at Payne Weber, built the annuity business at MetLife, and then I had all retail product development and started their fee-based financial planning unit. Now I'm an author and speaker, and I speak all over the world. My book is Living a Life of Significance, and the emphasis of my talks deal with not so much the money they make, but the impact you have on others. And so that's what I do.
Yeah, well, Joe, hey, first of all, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being on our annuity show prior. This isn't annuities. This is Medicare Supplement insurance, Medicare Advantage. What's important? Why are you here?
Well, I stumbled into this because it's obvious. I think the major issue that the planet faces is the aging population of the world. I think it's leaps and bounds over global warming any day. Even Elon Musk has said that in all things. He said that's the major issue that the planet faces. And since the population is aging, guess what? When you hit 65, like I did, you wind up getting Medicare. And then as I learned more about Medicare, I found out that if you're in financial services or doing a plan, so a lot of people high-end financial, I don't get involved in that. Well, guess what? You know what? Medicare is means tested now. And if you're affluent, it's not an insignificant amount of money. And what happens is you wind up paying more of your Social Security depending upon the amount of money that you make. So you can't come up with an intelligent income plan without taking that into consideration. So what I see is happening is, when I first started, it was all about products. The only reason Payne Weber got in the insurance business was to diversify its revenues. It had nothing to do with client need, okay? Then as I got to Met, it was again very specific product. It went to planning, and now I think the next phase is the idea of providing advice, and advice that goes beyond financial services. If people are aging, all of the solutions that we've come up with is the dollars. And the business is this, it's not a story of numbers, it's the number of stories. And we have to begin to bring out that personal touch, and it's important because it's the only thing that you can't have commoditized. All of the products are commoditized and what have you, but advice is there. In fact, McKinsey said this, in the next 10 years, advisors will gradually shed their role as investment managers and become more like integrated life wealth coaches. So think about that. We always talk to people if you have enough money, but to do what? we're not discussing what you're going to do. People need meaning and purpose in retirement as they did when they worked. What happens when you go from who's who to who is that person, right? There's a great quote from one of the astronauts, and the guy said, you think going to the moon is hard, try staying home. So think about that, all right? So that's really the next course, is the idea of relationships and make that happen. This has all been exacerbated by the COVID-19. People have never felt more isolated alone. Yale did a study and found out the more people use Facebook, the worse they feel, because it doesn't deal with an interaction. We just, at this conference here, we had this doctor who got up and basically said that loneliness is the biggest issue that older people face. And if you're lonely, it's equivalent to smoking 16 cigarettes a day. The quality of life dictates the quantity of life.
So what does technology do here? We got a lot of you and I have talked to a number of people with some new platforms here. And Joe, you were way out in front when we were working together back at MetLife. What's it going to do? What's the next step? I mean, advisors. Is it going to help advisors connect with clients, or is it going to make it harder?
I think it's at the end game. That's what technology does. Is it augments and it helps. Look, I'm not against any technology or direct-to-consumer stuff. The more people get stuff, the better off it is. But I do think the ideal setting is the idea that people want to be able to interact with somebody. That's really a fundamental human need. And so I think the technology should make it easier for people to be able to do that. And I don't think people should fear technology in terms of that help. I think they should embrace it.
Yeah. So what excites you the most about this business going forward?
Well,
I mean, you've been doing this a while, and the battery's not going down.
Well, I really, the biggest revelation I've had is, one, people need meaning and purpose in retirement, and the other thing is dealing with the major issue that the planet faces, which is the aging population of the world. And when you begin to think about how long people are going to live, that is a major issue. So I'm excited about doing something. What could be more worthwhile, okay, than making making sure people have meaning and purpose. And that's where I like fraternal organizations. They have all of these activities that people can do. So that's where I think the shift of the business. It's more of the holistic approach, not just different products, but also the idea of mapping out what your retirement plan would be in terms of what you'll do.
Awesome. Joe, thanks so much.
Pleasure.
All right, my name is Joe Wall. I'm one of the co-founders of Insurance Toolkits. We provide a quoting, underwriting, and point-of-sale platform for simplified issue insurance products such as life insurance, simplified term, Medicare Supplement, dental. And I've been in the business since 2016. I got my license when I turned 18 as a freshman in college, and now my full-time focus is on the company, and we serve over 10,000 individual agents and a countless number of agencies in handling at the point of sale their sales process, really.
Oh, this is great. So you actually started as an agent, found a problem, created a company, and now you're a founder of an insurtech startup. Is that right?
Yes, it's very difficult as an agent when you're. I almost had to exit the business because I wrote so much Gerber guaranteed issue in about a 2-week span of May of 2017. But I realized that if you just have one tool, that you don't have to call your upline or put a message in a group chat or call the company for a risk assessment, which is fine, but you shouldn't have to rely on calling an 800 number at the point of sale. There should at least be some sort of software system to tell you what to do, or this is what the household discount rule is in Pennsylvania, which is probably different from the rule in Wyoming. And that's really what we try to solve for agents is, even if you're not fully confident with the product, this is how you professionally represent it to a client and have them trust you to make the sale.
That's really cool. I've got to try this. I've got to get a demo in your booth and learn more about your product. So who are your actual customers? If I'm an agent, do I buy it directly, or are you selling service to my IMO or FMO?
So we have two models. Some IMOs will purchase it from us and they'll give it to their agents for free or at a reduced cost. About half of our business is that. The other half is individual agents who come to us and purchase it from us. We don't sell to carriers, but we do have a lot of the carriers that we work directly with, and they tell us different rules and ways they want to have it in the system that would help to make it better for everyone. So.
Interesting. And how much is technology going to continue to change how agents connect with customers?
That's actually the topic of my talk at 2 o'clock today in the expo hall, but I think it's going to change drastically, and any agency who's not leveraging technology in a significant way is going to fall far behind. And not to mention the lost, one of our largest agencies reported a 10% difference in the amount of business they place guaranteed issue and the amount of business they place level, which is, for the IMO, tens of millions of dollars of a difference in their pockets. So if you're not leveraging technology, you're missing, your agents, more importantly, are missing out on commissions in business, and clients aren't being put into the best plans for them, which is unfortunate.
Hey, Joe, this is great. Where does the passion come from? How do you? What makes you excited to do this kind of work in our industry?
My cousin and I actually started the company together, so it was that connection where you can work closely with someone, and now there's 10 of us that work together, and developers, and we really just want to create the best platform, because in the insurance industry, there's not much technology. I actually got licensed before the first e-application for final expense came out, which is pretty incredible to think when we think of how old the insurance industry is. So it's really our driving force is to help agents succeed in an industry where not many people are going to be providing ancillary products to help you.
Well, this is great. And if people want to learn more about your company or connect with you, what's the best way to do it?
The best way is Facebook. Our company name is just Insurance Toolkits, 2 words. We're also on YouTube if you search for us there, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the platforms, so you can find us anywhere.
Okay, terrific. And thank you for putting our Medicare product up on your quoting tool.
No problem. We appreciate it.
Look forward to the results. All right. Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Brian Welch. I'm the sales director at CSG Actuarial. I handle all of our carrier relations, carrier partners, distribution partners, as it relates to CSG and our technology.
Okay, this is a hard question, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will hear CSG and they know everything, but for those who don't, Nacho, what do you do here in this space?
Right, we really have 2 functions to CSG. One is in our data and competitive intelligence. We help most carriers in the insurance industry understand their competitive position, understanding their underwriting as it relates to other carriers. We try to help carriers, in particular in the Medicare space, and as Medicare changes so drastically month to month, keeping up with those changes and understanding where they have pockets where they're really strong and where they may need to improve in the demographics that support those areas. The other kind of angle to our business, which is what I think most people in the brokerage world know us for, is the quoting tools, right? We have quoting and enrollment tools for 5 different product lines. We distribute those to insurance agents directly. We distribute those through FMOs and IMOs, call centers, exchanges, and so forth. It's really a technology to help a broker when they're sitting down with an individual, rather than looking through a rate book or only quoting 1 or 2 products, they can click a few buttons and get a quote for every carrier.
So on the market intelligence side, when you're working with carriers, do you actually assist in pricing?
Yes, it can be with their actuarial teams, and they're looking at it from a pricing perspective. It can be for their reinsurers to understand where the risk factors may be in regards to their rates or the underwriting in particular. It could also be for your product people, right? They want to know where they're most competitive. And so if I'm really competitive in Las Vegas, Nevada, I want to recruit agents in Las Vegas, Nevada. If I'm not very competitive in Portland, Oregon, I don't want to use my marketing dollars and horsepower in that space. And the reason that it's important to get consistent updates is you may be competitive in Las Vegas today, but by August 1st, you're not. And so trying to shift through that kind of pool of data is kind of where we come in and why we help.
Mm-hmm. And we've actually just recently started doing that same exercise, right? Which is great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about your enrollment functionality? I know this is new in the last year. In the past, it was just quote. It's really exciting to have enrollment functionality with the quote. Can you talk a little bit more?
Yeah, that really started by feedback we got from the agents. We launched the quoting tools in 2012, and it was really based upon we started just doing the competitive intelligence data analytics, and we had all this rate data, and we finally said, you know what, the agents could really use this. Let's build some simple tool that they can get the rates. And over time it grew, right? We started to do rate increases. We started to include the household discounts. We started to include NAIC information. And the reason we started to do all that is agents would call us and say, it'd be really good if you did this. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, let's do it. we had a number of agents approach us and agencies saying, we love using the quoting tools, but I hate the fact that when I quote Nassau Re, I then have to leave your quoting tool, go to their agent portal, log in, re-quote the individual, and then start the enrollment. And we said, oh, that's a really good idea, but we need carrier buy-in to be able to do that. And so we approached a number of carriers and they said, yeah, it doesn't hurt us, right? It's just another pathway for agents to submit us business. Why wouldn't we do it? But one thing that we made a big effort towards is universalizing the process. Agents, I think the average agent right now is about 55 years old, which a lot of those agents are really good with technology, but they had a hard time grasping the fact that Nassau's enrollment process is different than Aetna, Aetna's is different than Cigna, Cigna's different than Anthem, and on you go. And they didn't want to have to struggle or learn 50 different processes to do an enrollment, especially if you're in front of a beneficiary. You don't want to have to stumble through the process and make it look like you don't know what you're doing. So we universalized it. It's the same process, the same UI, the same look and feel, regardless of the carrier that you click on. That doesn't mean that the questions aren't different, right? One carrier may ask a different question about diabetes than the other, and that's going to vary, but the look and feel of it from the agent is the exact same. And so that's really important to us, is making sure that it's a uniform process.
So if we ask you about your product map for the next 12, 18 months, that must be a huge part of your development.
It's really expanding on the MedSup carriers that we currently enroll for, going into the Medicare Advantage space. Obviously, it's a bigger market. If they're a MedSup agent, they're likely selling MA as well. It's a simpler process. You don't have to deal with underwriting or business rules or state-by-state rules and disclosure forms and things like that. But it's a harder process because there are other components to it. You have providers, you have drugs, you have pharmacy networks and things like that. So it adds a little bit of complexity to it. So that's one piece. We're really going into the expansion of the enrollment tools as it relates to Medicare. But it's really also cross-selling. We introduced last year our cart system, and the reason we called it a cart system is it's kind of like Amazon, right? When you go to Amazon and you want to buy 5 different things, you don't check out 5 times. You just add them all to your cart and click check out. So we've done it now with MedSup and dental, and we're going to be doing it with MA and hospital indemnity. So if you run a MedSup quote on our system, you see a carrier, you click enroll, you can go ahead and enroll that individual, or you can just add it to your cart, select another carrier, let's say a DVH plan, run the quote, select the carrier you want to do the enrollment for, and it's one app process. We disseminate all the information that you need for MA or for the MedSup app. All of that's going to be used on the dental app, right? The address, the payment information, the signature. If there's any type of health questions that may be asked on the dental side would all carry over. And so the agent's only completing one app, but both apps are completed. They sign it once, and we disseminate the apps to the different carriers. Every agent talks about cross-selling, and you hear it here at the conference, right? It's a big thing. We got to cross-sell, got to cross-sell, got to cross-sell. And I think the struggle is that agents aren't taking the time to do it because it's more work. I got to do 2 apps. I got to deal with 2 different carriers. So streamlining that, I think, will help that cross-selling aspect.
Yeah. And do you see yourself staying solely in the medical space, or do you see you bringing in like final expense, life products, and annuity products as well?
Currently, we quote MedSup Medicare Advantage, which includes the Part D, final expense, HI, and dental. We will have enrollments for all of those product lines. Our expansion is going to be more, I believe, to start on the life and ancillary side, cancer, heart attack, stroke, term life insurance, things like that. Annuities is difficult because you have to tap into the interest rates, and those can change daily. That's a hard thing to do rather than MedSup where it's a static rate until they file new rates. We haven't quite figured that out, and part of it is we don't have a lot of annuity expertise in the company today. In 3 years, my answer may be different, but I think in terms of a product expansion, annuities may be on the outside looking in from that perspective.
Yeah, so great conference here.
Yes.
This is the first time I've been here, and I'm just hearing about the prior ones, but I think location's been great. What's the newest thing you've heard? Like, what was the big takeaway from the conference this year?
I think it's around the legislative stuff that's going into Medicare Advantage, the concern and kind of the blame that gets, it's kind of blame gets placed on why they think the legislation is starting to arise. And I think what I've learned from it is that most groups are saying we just got to deal with it. Well, the technology is going to drive the assistance to help agents deal with those legislative changes. I like the fact too that MedSup is not really touched or affected by that, and that's been kind of a thing I'm starting to hear is due to the legislative process or due to kind of the cost variances on the Medicare Advantage side, you might see some shift back into MedSup that you wouldn't have thought before. An agent that does maybe 50-50 MedSup MA or maybe 60-40 or even 70-30 on the MA side, they may start doing more MedSup because it's a larger hassle now to do MA.
Interesting. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for stopping by. If people want to reach out to you personally or the company, what's the best way to do it?
They can go to csgactuarial.com. They can also email us at info@csgactuarial. Or you can call our 800 number, which is 855-668-8711.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend us on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information about this company and other great startups at imagine.nfg.com.